I did my best drawings with my charcoal pencil. For example, this.
Or this one.
And that one. So, what makes charcoal pencils special? And when we are buying charcoal pencils or charcoal stick, what we should consider in this video, I will try to explain that. I really hope that you will find this video helpful, and if you already had subscribed to my channel, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Let the good one win. One of the first criteria that I'm looking in a very good charcoal pencil is the darkness of it. The darker the charcoal pencil, the better. Because I'm trying to give depth in my portraits and I'm trying to create this contrast so that I can have more realistic effect. When I blend it like this, if it's disappearing completely, then it's not the best charcoal. But let me remind you, some artists really like to work with lighter tones, which is really fine, it's personal difference. But I really like this velvety structure of charcoal when I use it really dark. The second most important criteria in a good charcoal pencil is erasing. How easy to erase it. So if it is easier to erase, then we can give our highlights much more easily without pain. But if it is difficult to erase, then those charcoal in the tooth will show, and unfortunately that's going to affect the quality of our drawing. The third and the last criteria is blending. When we smudge charcoal, we want them to blend each other, of course, but also when we are using the pencil and trying to give some depth, when we go over them with our blending stump, we don't want it to disappear. We don't want those lines to go away. Just like here, even though I go over it with a tissue, my lines are still there. If you're ready, let's start comparing our charcoal pencils. You can see my criteria right here, drawing how it looks on paper, and then we have blending and then erasing. Let's see which one will perform the best. The first one that I want you to look at is General's charcoal. It's my favorite. The second set that I have is Cretacolor's charcoal set. In each set, I'm going to choose the medium charcoal so that I can have a fair comparison. And the third one is Derwent. Another one that I'm going to compare today is actually a very cheap one that I bought from a dollar store, Kulbyenter. Let's see if the price tag makes any difference or not. To begin with, I'm going to choose Artist Loft and we will see how it's going to perform. My first step is just to draw some lines, and in the lower part, I'm just gonna fill in with the charcoal pencil that I have. So far, Artist Loft is pretty good. It is easy to draw. Well, it created a little bit of dust, but that kind of charcoal dust is pretty normal. Let's talk about Generals now. Look how beautifully black it is. When I start drawing, I can see that it's pretty smooth. And if you compare it to Artist Loft, you can already see that Generals is really good. Generals is black. Artist Loft almost looks brown next to it. Let's try Derwent's medium charcoal pencil. This is my first time trying this one, so I'm really curious about it. Well, in terms of darkness, I think the lines are exactly the same with Artist Loft and Generals. But when it comes to shading, I can say that there's a lot of resistance from the pencil. It's not easy to draw with this one. Look, you can see the lines. And it's just very dusty. Yeah, I didn't like this one. Now, Cretacolor. As you can see, I always sharpen my pencil before I start, and Cretacolor was a difficult one to sharpen. It breaks so easily, and you can see it already, it's not as sharp as the other ones. But the blackness of it is great. I like how dark it is. You cannot see white of the paper easily, just like in Generals. But I can easily say that the charcoal is just erodes away so easily on Cretacolor. Now, let's come to my cheapest set ever, Kulbyenter. I think I bought it for $3. the whole set of 6. It is unbelievably hard to draw with this pencil. And when I am actually shading, I am having such great difficulty. I don't know if you can tell. You can see the lines, they're just like showing. It's not smooth at all, and I have to do many layers to actually cover all the white of the paper. Well, let's give some points. My first criteria for this one is the blackness. Well, for blackness, I think Generals and Cretacolor gets 5 out of 5 from me. But Kulbyenter was really black, but it required so many layers, so I'm just giving it 4. And Artist Loft and Derwent get just 3 from me from blackness. Let's talk about easiness of shading. The highest point goes to my first 2 pencils, and Derwent and Kulbyenter will get the lowest points from me. Now let's talk about blending and smudging. I want to say that I'm applying 2 layers here for each pencil. The first one is Artist Loft. It actually blended really well with the tissue. The second one is Generals. And when I applied my tissue, I can see that it blended really well as well. It smudged, and you cannot really tell where my pencil touched the paper. So that's great. Derwent created so much dust. It blends so much that I can actually apply this dust everywhere on the paper, literally. However, it didn't preserve its darkness. So, well, Cretacolor created so much dust for a medium charcoal pencil. Usually soft ones or extra soft ones are pretty dusty, but oh well. Well, when I actually blended it, I could see the lines still, but if I applied more pressure on my tissue, those lines also disappear. So it's not bad. It's not bad. Kulbyenter. Now I did the 2 layers, and look what happens when I blend. See, this is an example of a bad charcoal pencil. You can see exactly where the pencil was, all the pencil strokes, and it blended, but it blended really unevenly. So this is not what I want from a good charcoal pencil. Let's grade them. Generals get 5 out of 5 from me because it was dark and it was blended really well. Artist Loft was brown instead of black, and it wasn't as dark, so I'm gonna give 4 to that, and also Cretacolor gets 4 from me. Of course, the lowest point goes to, as you expect from me, Kulbyenter. Let's see how these pencils are erasing. So the first half I'm going to just shade, and the second half I'm going to blend it with a blending stump, and I'm going to erase the both parts so you can see much better. And for erasers, I have 2 different kinds of eraser pencils, and I have my electric pencil, which literally erases everything. I want to take your attention to Artist Loft and Generals. When they were blended with blending stump, they preserved their darkness, which is a really good sign for a charcoal pencil. They both erase really well with any kind of eraser, so that's great. Something caught my attention, by the way. Derwent is thicker than other pencils that I have, so this might be a plus for them. But let's see how it's gonna erase. Oh no, when I blend, it got lighter in color. I don't like that. But it erases easily, so that's a plus. Well, Cretacolor broke again. I'm gonna go crazy, guys. This is really frustrating. And look how much charcoal it ate. I just opened this set for you today, like 20 minutes ago, and how much it ate. Like, I can't believe. Anyway, Now I am shading, and Cretacolor also disappointed me when we blended with blending stump because the color is again lighter. I want them to preserve their darkness. But Cretacolor has a charcoal stick which actually blends really dark, and I'm going to show you in a second. Well, erasing was easy on this one as well. But this Kulbyenter seems really hard on paper, so I'm almost 100% sure that it's not going to erase well. Let's hope it's gonna surprise me. Well, when we blended, it didn't lose its darkness, so that's great. But just like I thought, even though I erase it with pressure, unfortunately it doesn't erase that well. I still can see the pencil strokes. Well, because they both had very dark backgrounds and they erased well, I think I'm going to give Artist Loft and Generals 5 points. Derwent and Cretacolor actually erased well. And okay, Kulbyenter didn't actually erase well, but the background was much darker than Derwent and Cretacolor, so I gave them all 4 points this time. Let's look at the total numbers. Artist Loft 17, Generals 20, Cretacolor 17, Kulbyenter 13 with the lowest, and Derwent actually surprised me so much. I'm just so disappointed in Derwent at this point. Apparently, Generals won this competition. Now let's look at the charcoal sticks. These are all Cretacolor. By the way, I'm just going to compare these numbers and how they look when we blend with a tissue and blending stump. This one is a pit or wine pit, which means that once you blend them, there will be nothing left but just like a light gray shadow. So they really smudge a lot. Maybe you can use it best in when you're doing some abstracts or backgrounds. It will be great to use. It doesn't have a number, so I'm just going to put it right here. First, I'm going to blend all of them with a tissue so you can see. And the second, I'm going to blend with a blending stump. You see that their shade is getting lighter and lighter as we go down. And you can see the pencil strokes more as the shade gets lighter. But I think 4072 is pretty dark and I really like that. Okay, with tissue maybe it showed a little bit of pencil strokes, but when we blend it with blending stump, you can't really see any lines, and it preserves its darkness. So I really recommend it. There's also another Cretacolor stick charcoal that I want to tell you. I couldn't find it online, but 49500. It's also a very good charcoal block. Well, the Cretacolor 4072 definitely makes a better job when we blend than the charcoal pencil of Cretacolor. As a last step, I want to compare it to my favorite Generals charcoal. And you see that this is 6B, it's a soft one. When I blend with the tissue, you see that there's no sign of lines. And when you compare it with Cretacolor, you see that Generals had a better result when it comes to blending all the charcoal on the paper. I also want to show you Derwent's charcoal stick. It looks more gray than black, so I expect more grayish result. Well, it created a lot of dust, so I'm sure it's going to disappear. Yep, it just disappears once you blend. It's all gone. This actually reminds me of Cretacolor's pit stick. So this Derwent's stick and Cretacolor's pit stick, let's compare. Yep, they're exactly the same. You see the lower part is Cretacolor and upper part was Derwent. They look exactly the same. They will be a great background if you wanted to have something on the lighter side. This was it, guys. I hope you find it helpful. I will see you in my next video. Bye. Thanks for watching my video. If you like my videos, please don't forget to subscribe. And for my real-time narrated tutorials, visit my Patreon, patreon.com/Ece Gurler. Stay with art and love.